This is always a thrill for me. It's always the best part of what I do, because we're going to get a chance to dialogue with students. And we haven't done that often. I go to places and nobody's ever done that. Nobody's ever said to students like these, what do you think? So this is going to work in the following way. I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves briefly, tell you their name, who they are, what school they go to, and how old they are. And then I'm going to ask them a few questions. And they have the right to pass if they don't want to answer the question. Some of them will be raise your hand. We'll find out a little bit about them. And then we open it up to the audience. So think about questions that you would like to ask these young people that they can respond to. And by the way, I've asked them to think about questions they might want to ask you. So that's what we're about to do here. And my first, what I'd like you to do, and some of you have a mic, we only actually need one mic, but if you have two, share it. We'll start on this end, okay, with Marissa. Marissa knew I got to write these things in the right order. Okay, Marissa, tell us who you are, what school you go to, and how old you are.
Okay, hi, I'm Marissa binti Mustaqim. I'm 12 years old and I go to SK Bukit Damansara. Hi everyone, I'm Nuha binti Jess Isman. I'm 12 years old and I go to SK Bukit Damansara.
Hi, I'm Tanya Zainuddin. I go to SMK Taman Tun Dr. Ismail and I am 17.
Hello, I'm Muhammad Harul Hazim bin Muhammad Harudin. I go to Sekolah Menengah Kebangsaan Taman Tun Dr. Ismail and I'm 17 years old.
Hi, my name is Wong Yu Hao and I go to SJKC Lek Hang. I am 12 years old.
Hi everyone, I'm Sashi. I'm from SMK Sierra Tamas. I'm 17 years old and I must say this, I'm an Arsenal supporter.
So you hold on to this because now we're going to ask you, I'm going to ask you a question on this one. First question I have for you, and we'll start on this end and come back, is what are you passionate about? Tell us what it could be a school subject, it could be outside of school. What really is the thing in the world that you're most passionate about?
Oh, I'm really passionate about football. I really love football. I watch football 24/7, replays, skills, all that. I'm so addicted. There's only one game I play on my PS3 and that's FIFA 13. Yeah.
Okay, do you want to be a footballer someday?
I would like to, but I don't think that's what my parents want me to do though.
Okay.
I'm most passionate about really anything to do with technology, social media, internet, anything like that.
Okay.
Well, I'm very passionate about martial arts.
Ah.
I just love martial arts.
Which martial arts?
Well, I'm currently doing Taekwondo, but I just love all of them really, like Kung Fu, Karate, or Jiu-Jitsu, stuff like that.
What's your highest belt?
Sorry?
What's your highest belt?
Black belt. First time.
Black belt in what?
Taekwondo.
In Taekwondo, okay. Black belt in Taekwondo, that's pretty good. Okay.
I like socializing in person as well as social media.
Oh, and I know this is a bit odd, but I am very passionate for dancing. And yeah.
Why is that odd?
I don't know, a lot of people say that, sometimes it can't really have, a job or anything, but I believe that if you're really passionate about it and if you really believe in it, then you can strive to be a dancer. So that is basically what I'm doing. I really love reading and writing, and one day I want to become an author maybe, so.
Okay, good. So what's interesting to me about this is look at how different those passions are. Everyone is different, which means that we can't teach to them all in the same way, because they're going to respond in different ways to different things. Now, let me ask you this question. How many of you think all of your teachers know what you just told us what your passion is? How many of you think any of your teachers know what your passions are?
Well, I have one teacher. Actually, the reason I'm here today is because of her. She told me that she picked up my name on people, and then she knows a lot about me too. She asked these kind of questions. I think she's one of those future leaders that you were speaking about earlier.
Excellent. And it's such an easy thing to do. It takes 15 minutes to go around a classroom of whatever size and ask that question and write it down. And so to me, that's the biggest thing that I think we could do practically to change education. Okay, my second question. You all were sitting there, you heard what I said. What did you think about the ideas that I put out? And did you agree with them? Did you disagree with any of them? What do you think? Start out. You start. Marissa.
I think they were very intelligent and smart ideas, and I think what you said was very true.
Anything specifically that you agreed with that was particularly true?
About the future caters. I think we should always be in the future and don't think about the past so much. Yeah, I would like to agree with Marissa, more of the future caters, because if they teach us more about the past, we can't really move forward for that next generation. So they must also, teach just a little bit of the past, but also more of the future. So I would to agree with her.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree about the educators were supposed to be more future-minded.
I really agree with almost all of your points. I think all of it. And for example, when you talked about the teachers, I only know one. Okay, maybe two, but average, none of them would ask me these questions. They just teach like the past behaviors. They don't really want to go into more technological things. And what I hate most is when we have to do a presentation, we just have to copy and paste things and then we have to read it out again. What's the point of that?
Okay, you have it.
I agree with your presentation, and I specifically agree on the fact that the technological capabilities of this generation is far more advanced than they could ever be.
Oh yeah, I completely agree. What I agree most on is the part of making videos. Because instead of reading things that will take you probably an hour or 2 hours to do, which wastes a lot of your time, why don't you just watch a video? People explain it better, you get the idea. It's much better than getting the students in that way. Yeah.
Okay. How many of you, let's find out a little bit about what you do. How many of you have your own device? How many of you have your own computer?
I do.
Okay, so you raise your hand if you
Yeah.
do. Okay, we have a couple with computers. How many of you have a phone? Okay. How many of you text? How many of you have ever texted in class? How many of you have ever been on the internet? Okay. How many of you go on the internet every day? Okay. How many of you do social media of one kind or another? Okay. So you get the feeling of who these people are, and we can find out more specifically. Sometimes you've got to ask. Somebody said, "Who said I don't have a phone?" But that was you, right? But I said, "Well, what do you have? Do you have a computer?" "No, my family has a computer." "What do you have?" "I have a tablet." Okay, so you just have to probe a little bit here. And tell me about, have you used technology in school in any way? How many of you have used technology in school? What's your favorite thing that you've ever done in school with technology?
The computer lab, so we had lessons on how to use a computer, Word and PowerPoint.
Okay, anything else that you enjoyed? Okay, how many of you think we could do a lot more? Okay, and so what would be, I'd like to hear if you have a suggestion. Suppose you were in charge, we have somebody who's in charge. What do you think would be one thing that they could put in your school in terms of technology that would make it better? Okay.
Can I answer this? Well, this might be a bit over the top, but to make the students understand more, maybe like when the teacher explains something about history, for example, and it goes to Egypt, there could be a hologram or anything that sort of brings them to Egypt so that they can see how it actually is, the architecture, how the people lived, so that they'll understand much more.
And virtual Egypt, virtual ancient Egypt exists. exists on the web. So that's not over the top at all.
I'd like to add on that.
Yes.
I really agree on the virtual thing because, like, for example, sometimes my teachers, they don't want to do experiments. They just want us to write reports on it. And to me, we won't even understand what the experiment is about. It's boring. I would like to do it practically. And if they're trying to say it's a waste of time, money to make it, if we have a virtual room where we can have virtual experiments, but we're doing it, you can see something, and it'll cost less because you just do that and you can repeatedly use that virtual environment.
I would have another suggestion. I would believe that the schools can have contractors manufacture cheap and affordable tablets that can access a centralized database that will have to be collected information from the textbooks, the syllabus, and whenever a teacher is explaining something, the students with restriction can look up that database, further understand what the teacher is talking about.
Okay, and we already have lots of those databases like Khan Academy for math and other things that are already existing.
So I think we should add more teachers that will encourage us to use the IT in schools, as well as teachers that know more about IT and that can help us, guide us with the IT in schools.
I agree with Noah. We should have things that let us visualize, simulate, and animate. So instead of cramming in facts about cells and microorganisms, we should have like screens so we can visualize instead of just imagining.
And yeah, touching about our friends' idea of tablets, instead of students carrying bags full of geography textbooks, history textbooks, math textbooks, we can all just carry one tablet. Our history atlas, our math atlas, experiments will all be done there. If you want to further your information, there's Safari, there's internet as well. Yeah.
Okay, and my last question, and then I'm going to reserve the very last question, but my last question before opening it up to everybody is, what did you think of the idea that if we wanted to do this, if we wanted to have a very strong network, if we wanted to figure out what devices we could afford for everybody, what do you think of having a student core, a student group that organized itself to make that happen? Do you think that's possible?
I think that's possible, and it would be a very great idea.
Anyone else?
I really think that it is possible, and with students there, it will be more better because, as you say, nowadays students are more advanced in technology skills, and then they will be more knowledgeable about these things, and they could help other students and understand each other because we're all the same. As for some of the teachers, would be a bit harsh with the exams.
Anyone else? How many of you would be part of it if we had such a if the country set up that organization that said, let's student run, make the best technology in the world? How many of you would want to be a part of that effort? Raise your hand. Okay, so already they want to be part of it. Okay, now comes the fun part where if you have a question, where are the microphones? Somebody has, there are some people in the back. Why don't you come to the front so you can see the hands? And you raise your hand if you want to ask a question.
This is for the second girl in on from the left. I think you've got the prerequisite to become a Prime Minister. Dancing, you have to know how to dance.
Okay. Dancing.
Because all of you are secondary schools. My question, because most of these technologies like social networking and games are used solely for entertainment, right? So, I mean, especially educators, I mean, all of us are very, passionate to have, not 100%, but at least somehow, at least 20% to implement IT in education. So, what is your suggestion to implement IT in class, for example, like digital game, and to ensure that you do learn and not just solely play, play around, just for the sake of playing instead of learning. So, any suggestion?
It's not really something that just wastes your time, mind-numbing and all that, but if you put education in like games, because students do like games, students like being challenged in other ways, so I think that definitely would engage the student in different ways, and maybe that's why the teacher is there also. The teacher should be there to facilitate this 20% or 30% of technology you want to be in the class. It should be done in a way that engages student games-wise, as said and all that. Yeah.
Well, to me, I really think, for example, you could still teach them normally, you know, boring stuff, but maybe after that, maybe sometimes you give them games, but education stuff. Because before I was here, I actually looked up Marc Prensky, and I have some websites about Marc Prensky game websites, but they're educational. And you know, just when I open it up, I look at his game, I just clicked it, suddenly I started playing with it, and I was a bit addicted, even though it was educational, and I learned a lot from it. So what I'm trying to say is, if you actually make your education fun, entertaining, it would interest most students, definitely.
To me, maybe you should restrict the Wi-Fi or have like a tablet that only focuses on educational things, not social media, because being teenagers, we will play social media like Twitter and Facebook, so maybe you should just restrict the Wi-Fi in schools or have like a tablet that solely focuses on education.
This is something about that. I mean, as we know, generations a bit rebellious. When you restrict them, they probably want to find ways of how to, okay? But if you give them, like I told you earlier, like education games, they would like that, and then they would have less of wanting to do bad things or whatever you would find inappropriate during studies, you know? And Facebook or Twitter or Skype, I don't really think it's bad because you can exchange information there, you know, and maybe during studies you open up Facebook, you can ask a friend, or Twitter, you can tweet about it, or Skype.
And if I can chip in and answer, the premise is something that we have to question, because what you said, if I can quote you adequately, all these things are for entertainment, right? And I would say not right. I would say, for example, you could make the same argument for books. Books are about entertainment, right? No, books are about many things and can be used in many ways. So that the same goes for technology and for the internet and for media and for all this. It's how we use it. And when we motivate the kids through their passion, so that his learning is mostly through sports, and his learning is mostly through things that are related to martial arts, and your learning is a lot related to dancing, because a lot of that's related to math and science, and your learning is about writing and other things, and we're using these things as tools to do that, then I think, and this is where I can ask the students, do you think that if under those conditions, you could figure out a way to police yourself so that maybe, like everybody else in the world is probably sending a text, you do it some of the time, but not too much of the time. Could kids learn to police themselves even though they're using computers and mediums? That's my question.
I agree, because that when you put restrictions on something, as he said, students are just following the restrictions, being followers. They're not learning how to put the restrictions there themselves. They're following the teacher's restrictions. They're not able to, as I said, sedarkan diri, self-realization on how you should be able to manage your own time, manage your own proficiency in how you use the technological capabilities at your company.
I think students should cooperate and should understand that this is good for them and why you should follow what you are told to do. But they are not harshly restricted and say you can't do this. I'm not going to tell you why you can't do this, but you just can't do it. You just need to tell the students, okay, this is for your own good. You got to listen to me. I will guide you.
And actually, it's kind of true, because sometimes teachers, they tend to tell you, you can't do this. But when we students ask them why, they will say, you just can't. And I'm like, why can't you explain it to me then? Because truthfully enough, they do not know the answer.
You have any pass?
Well, yeah, I'd like to agree with them because it depends on the student themselves. They have to have that realization where if they want to focus more on this, they can maybe text like just for a few minutes, and then after that focus back on what they're doing. And the teachers, they can't be strict. They can't say no. They have to explain why, and maybe the child will understand, and then realize and say, okay, I have to do this, I have to do that. So it's more of explaining.
You want to add?
You definitely have to be disciplined and always focused the kids will somehow find one way or another to do it. Because, oh, the teacher said no, I just have to do it, right? when the teacher doesn't say anything, they'll be like, okay, never mind, it's not fun, I won't get in trouble. So when you put restrictions to something, we tend to be rebellious. So.
How many, let's just ask that question. How many of you have sent a text or an email during this session? Okay, some of you have. Yes, there are the hands going up. If you're honest, we have a number of them. And what that shows is that I don't think that you're not paying attention. You can do things, we don't want to do it in excess, but we live in a world where those things happen. And it's very important that we make my sense, and I think what I hear as the students saying, is you can trust us more. And that may vary, these are obviously wonderful students, and it may vary among populations, but do you think that that's true? Do you think that that's true of all the students? That we should trust them more?
Maybe not all, but I can say in average, even myself, when I'm trusted by someone, you feel good. And you would actually want to honor that person's feelings towards you, so you would actually do it because you're trusted. But when the teachers are like, they act as if we are really that young, as if we don't know anything. They treat us like kids. That's what makes us rebellious. We want to prove them wrong. So when they say no, we say yes.
Okay. Any other questions? Yes? Over here?
In the afternoon, so I'm curious, I would like to hear from you now. What is the importance of social media to you in your lives? What is it you get out of it?
Find out so many other things like homework. If you didn't attend school on that particular day, you get homeworks from other students. It doesn't have to be news about entertainment, so it does come as an advantage.
Well, to me, social media is really important to me. I mean, it keeps me connected with friends. And then, when you travel, if you travel around the world, you meet people, right? And you want to be friends with them. But imagine if you don't have social media, it's going to be quite hard to connect with a guy. The guy is halfway around the world, across away from you, So, but when we have Facebook, for example, I just add them on Facebook and I can talk with them any other day, That's about communication. And then also in education, truthfully speaking, I learn more from my social media than books. I got more information from the internet, YouTube. I even have friends recommending me to look up teachers on YouTube. They actually teach on YouTube. They make videos and they're famous now. Everyone watches them and they learn more. That's social media.
I would agree with Hazin and Tanya. I have plenty of experiences with this benefits of social media in my life. As well, during this program here, I missed a few tuition classes, so I could ask
Besides definitely communicating and relaying information, there's one particular event where I'm sure everybody knows about the Boston Marathon disaster. I found it out earlier on Twitter and actually found it out on CNN and all that. It came to me earlier, I knew more things, what was happening even earlier. And even if I check on Arsenal scores, it's much easier than Twitter. all the jokes about Manchester United are very good. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I would like to agree, social media isn't just for entertainment. You can communicate, you can learn. And with all of this, you can share with your friends as well. And, okay, maybe sometimes people can be a little bit on social media too much that they should, but it's only some people. It doesn't mean all of them are like that. And social media is a very important thing for most children because they get to share, they get to learn, they get to even teach people they don't understand. And if you miss out on something, you can just know through social media. So I think social media can keep you up to date with news of anything actually, about bands, about what's going on, about all these kind of things. So social media has its pros and cons.
Have any of you ever done homework with your classmates on Facebook or other social media? Raise your hand if you have. Okay, so it can be used in those ways too. Did you want to make another comment?
Well, I wanted to say that social media it connects us all really. It's very important and it's where we can just be ourselves. Because mostly that's where I see it happens, you know, especially on YouTube. People are themselves when they're like on the social media. Sometimes when you look up the person in front, maybe they're just too scared, but when they're on the social media, they can be themselves. Then people can really know who this guy is.
Talking about the homework on the internet, the ministry has actually introduced a website called the Frog VLE, which is the virtual learning experience, where schools and students are allowed to communicate with teachers through the internet, and you can actually ask for homework, and the teachers can actually post assignments on the internet for the classroom. So it's really fun and it's really effective.
How many of you have used that system?
Hi. All of you will be sitting for a public exam very soon, right? What do you think of examination in today's world with technology going on around us? Is it still necessary to have public examination?
Yes, it is definitely necessary, but the thing is, it wouldn't gauge how talented that student actually is. Let's say in the future he wants to be a designer. How is taking a subject like chemistry and biology going to help that designer be a better designer in the future? Because he already knows that he wants to be a designer. That's just an example of a field. It probably does not gauge the student's ability to be a better designer, but it definitely gauges the student's ability in improving his thinking. Definitely public exams are important for the thinking of that student. But whether it helps in the long term or not, that remains to be seen. And a bit off topic here, but what I really hate most when I'm doing exams is essays. You all might know this, but every subject, I think almost every subject, we would have an essay to write. And you know, if you look at it, you have to hold a pen for hours and hours, and all we do is write. You know, you get tired, then when you're tired, you waste more time, you just have to wait some more, and then they have the time limit, and then when the time is finished, you're just like, drop your pens, give me your papers, so you have to pass out, you know, like, you don't have time, we can't really say what we want or write what we want. But to me, I think if we had keyboards, or we can just speak to the computer or something, and then they type it out for you, it would be so much simpler, things would be done faster, and so many things can be done.
I don't think exams should be abolished because, truth be told, if there were no exams, we wouldn't be studying as much because teenagers, we don't study. So an exam, public exam, a major exam would encourage students to study more, and I think that would be better.
Well, we're not saying we want to abolish it, but just change the way to do the exam.
Because in my school I can see most of my friends, in the few weeks leading up to the exam, they would pick up their books and study. After exams, their books are nowhere to be found. I believe that in the future, exams should be integrated with technology to make it more fun, a learning experience, as well as when you're doing exams.
I think you shouldn't take exams too seriously because sometimes under pressure, you just go boom. And then when you're sitting for the test, you're just like, what? Everything just flies out of your head. And then when you fail the test, everyone's like, oh, your future's over. So I think exams are definitely very important, but you shouldn't take them into account too much because kids can get under pressure. The pressure can be too much for them sometimes.
Can any of you think of other ways that you would like to be evaluated? Because what you're saying is evaluation is important. It makes you work, etc. Are there other ways besides a standardized test that you all sit for at the same time?
Well, I wish we would have something like where the teachers would evaluate you personally. Like you go meet them and they will have to ask questions that are related to what you want to do. Maybe they ask you that first, what you want to do, and they ask things related to that, how to do that. If they evaluate you, then they can tell you where you can go, what you can do, and what specific things that you can learn to advance in that career. That would be very good, I think.
From my point of view, I think evaluation should be done daily through every day at school. The teacher will look at your performance, basic assignments, homework, and that would account to your grade.
Anyone else have an idea?
I don't think they should, like in Form 3, when we are 15 years old, we sit for an examination called the PMR exams. And our results, the maximum A's we can get is 8 A's. So if we get 5 A's or more, we are put into the science stream. if we get less than 5 A's, we are put into the art stream. That kind of, that the students, they don't have the freedom to pick the stream.
So, I really don't like that.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, I was actually, I got 4 A's and 4 B's. And you know what Marissa said, I think, I really think when we do exams, because we're so pressured, but when I enter the examination halls, you know, everything just disappears out of my head. Like if I did normal exams, sometimes I can score better, or just, you know, in class, teachers ask questions, I'll be the first to raise up my hand and answer it. But when I'm doing exams, you know, just it disappears and I can't answer it. And just because of that, they fail you and then you just can't continue anymore.
So the exam system rewards good test takers. That's good. Next question.
If you were asked to sit on the school board or sit in, say, a board meeting with the Ministry of Education every year, what would be the main thing that you would want them to change or to add to the structure of the education of that school or the country?
What I want them to change mostly is the way to help our students to be more futuristic and more, how should I say this, to succeed, right? We don't just have to study like, you know, like the past educators. I want it to be more futuristic, you know, it's like where everyone is easily understood and then, you know, nothing is that difficult. And then seriously, these exams, they put pressure on us, and sometimes I really think, you know, like if we are evaluated without even telling us, it's better, because when we are not told that we are having to have exams, we do better.
I think that the Ministry of Education should integrate technology into basic education every single day. Every day at school, you use technology as part of the syllabus, so we can familiarize with technology as well. We can use the technology in our careers in the future.
So basically, it's more for the teachers. I would recommend the teachers to more of guiding and understanding the children. And if the children has an opinion or want to recommend something, they can, you know, the teachers must listen for a while. And if the teachers don't think that's such of a good opinion, then maybe the teachers should say, you know, maybe next time. But like I would agree with you, how there should be more of technology into the learning experience of the children.
I think the topic that I would bring out would revolve around the usage of English in mathematics and science, because we have to think ahead, and I think English is a good medium and a good way to penetrate the global market rather than just learn what's in high school.
And I would like to agree with Nuha over there, and also from Marc Prensky's slides earlier, we saw that it's scary, you know, change and stuff. You know, maybe some students will be very, very afraid of all this. You know, it's changing, and then their parents always tell them, you know, books are important. Bring your books everywhere. Read it. You know, study and stuff. But you know, I really think it will be so helpful. The teachers would, you know, come forward to the students, help them, encourage them, and tell them it's not a bad thing to change, you know, if this change can help you, you know, encourage them to do this, so it would help everyone.
Oh yeah, I would like to say is to add technological capabilities like everyone's been saying. For example, if you add this new something I saw outside the Digital Expo, this smart board, okay? Instead of the teacher coming to the class, writing down notes and wasting more time writing down notes, and explaining to the students, why not you have a smart board? Teacher plugs in a computer to the smart board, the notes are all there. So the teacher can use more piece of her time to explain what's on the board, than rather than write what's on the board, find a new chalk or something like that. Yeah.
Anyone else have advice for the ministry? Okay. Next question. There was there's someone with his hand up in the back. You and then.
Okay, my question is to your child. Okay, what is your opinion on balancing the technology and other things like helping your mommy and playing the real football and humanizing, and I just want to know how much time do you want to be with the technology than doing other things, because I'm a mommy. I have 5 years old son who really addicted to YouTube. When you go back to hometown with no Wi-Fi, he will scream. So I just want to know how much actually you want to be engaged, to be addicted, or to be with this technology. How much time actually? Because we are concerning, we want you to do other things.
As for you said football, if you go to YouTube, you learn the skills. You're not going to apply the skills in a computer. You're definitely going to go outside and you're going to play with the skills that you've learned. Well, in a way that maybe your son does not know how he should balance and use his technology discipline. Probably that's because they do not teach in school how to balance technology, because it's not being done in schools. So education of how to use technology is also important.
Also, as Mark said, we're evolving, and we can't say all kids are the same. Right now, I can say I'm pretty balanced, I go online, but I also go out. But nowadays, kids, maybe because they evolve already, they think maybe the technology is better for them. Maybe they just think it's much more, easier for them to do things there, they get more there. But I really do think that children should be exposed to outside. They should go outside and play for a little while or something, because you have to keep fit. If you're in front of the computer every day, you'll be like me, have to wear spectacles and start ruin your eyes. But seriously, I still think it's a good idea to have technology, but you have to teach them a bit of the discipline.
Together with my fact earlier about the uses of technology in the classroom, students need to be disciplined and know when is the correct time to use technology. But in this future generation, technology is, frankly speaking, part of our daily lives, and we can't not actually live without it. But our lives will not be the same without technology. So basically, students need to be disciplined. They can use technology, but I would say restrict it to 1 hour or half an hour a day.
This is why we need teachers. They need to educate the students on discipline, empathy, all these things that only humans can do. We need the teachers. This is what I think the teachers should do.
You want to say something? I'll make a point here.
I don't think we should totally ban children from going on the devices and using technology, because I learned in science that technology can overcome humans' limitations, and our lives and our daily lives would actually become harder without technology. So discipline is very important. You still have to go out and actually breathe fresh air, but sometimes kids just can't help it. So you always need to tell them that they need discipline. So sometimes they have to go out, and sometimes they can still play with technology. It's just they have to be disciplined, and they know how to compromise between both times.
And I'll just add my perspective. I'm a parent as well, and I definitely think an adult's role is to help kids learn to balance. On the other hand, we do live in a screen age. And the question that I would always ask when you ask that question is, suppose that were books. Suppose your kid, and there are kids like that, who say, I just have to read all the time. And when I go, if you don't bring a book when we go on that trip, I'll hate it, I'll be bored to death. Would you feel the same way? And so, while there may be addiction in some cases, real addiction, we hear about it in Korea and other places, most of it is just, I like it a lot. And that's different than addiction. We may use the same word colloquially, but it's not the same. So think about if your kid were, quote, addicted to something that you approve of, right? Some kids are addicted to being outdoors all the time. They don't want to come in and go to school. They don't want to come in and read. They don't want to do this stuff. So think about it in terms of balance, but also don't be afraid. And I think you have put it very well. This is their generation. They are the screen generation. They're going to be spending a lot of time doing those things in ways that we didn't.
I have many grandchildren.
Congratulations.
And the other ones are about their age. After having heard them, I think the government blueprint for transformation of the education system in the country is no longer relevant. Precisely for that reason, I just want to ask this question. Do you think that we need to build more schools, spending so much money for more classrooms, or do we go for self-learning, home learning, and teachers are facilitators and guides, so that we can maximize the resources of the country for the development of education facing the future with so much changes, exponential changes that's happening around us. I just would like to know, how do you feel about it? Can we, all of them this man, can we come away with you study at home, you go to school only to meet your teacher, right? And now you can meet your teacher on Facebook, Twitter, whatever. It's not for that reason. I wonder your thought on that, so that we can do something about the blueprint. We do not have to have that in all.
Anybody have a thought? So here's the question. If you permit, I will perhaps rephrase it in an easier to answer way. They may not have all read the blueprint. Who knows? Do you think that in the near future, in your lifetime, maybe while you're still students, that there will be other ways to get educated than going into a school classroom?
Yes.
Okay, and explain. And do you think that the country should encourage that? I think is that a fair statement of your question? Okay, so, and do you think that the ministry should be encouraging those ways? So anybody who has an opinion on that?
I agree on the whole new thing, but I really think school is still necessary. You know why? Because even on any social media, you will see people, the one thing people will post on about school is that it's fun when we are with your friends. The main reason usually people say they go to school is because of their friends. So when you go to school, you get to interact with people, you get to socialize, and then you know people, you can play with them, you can learn from them. But if you just stay at home learning, you can learn, but you'll be like, you have no one else to talk to. You don't get the whole one-on-one meet. You don't get to see people for real. You just sit at home alone the whole time. So I really think we should still have schools.
I still think school is relevant because to me school is not just education, it's not just academic. We still have curriculums. Like I am the president of the Interact Club in my school, and I'm also on the board of the Girl Guides in my school, and it still plays a big role in my school life, so it's not really just academic, so I still think school is relevant.
Yes, sir. You had two systems there. One system is the school system, and another system is the self-learning one at home. What I would like to say is to have both of the systems, having the school one, and when you go back home, you will have the self-learning one. In school, it is extremely important for the basic needs of, like for in developing communicating skills, socializing skills. It is very important to go to school, but when you go back home, you can access it through Facebook. If your teacher didn't come to school, he can pass you homework through Facebook, self-learning. It still should happen at home because learning does not just happen in school, but it happens at home as well. It's a dual process, that's what I would say my opinion would be.
And to add on, like the mother said just now, she's worried that her son wouldn't even go out, right? So if you have schools, even when they go to school, they get to have fun with their friends. That's when they go out. Maybe parents don't see this, but kids, they do have their outdoors time at school. They're outdoors, they have curriculums, maybe parents don't see this because they are working. I'm not trying to say you're bad because you're working all the time, you're working for your family, but kids, sometimes they feel that way. They feel like, my mom, they don't see this, I'm doing this, I'm doing that at school, but my mom don't see this. She just thinks I'm on the computer 24/7. But yeah, that's what parents usually don't see. They don't see their kids doing things at school. Sometimes some parents, they don't even know their kids are involved in anything, or sometimes maybe the kid went to see the Prime Minister and their mom won't even know about it.
Well, I like to agree with all of you. I think school is very important because if not, the kid would probably be socially awkward and wouldn't have that much of self-confidence. So school is definitely the way of learning like old people do. I'm sorry. But
I can see these kids as shining nose in the future network. I would like to know if any one of you is currently involved in a project to help students in other parts of Malaysia who are at the other end of the digital divide.
Okay. And so if you're not involved, and if the answer to that is no, what do you think that there are ways that you could, because of your position where you have a lot of these things and you are in place, do you think you could or have a responsibility to help the people that this woman is talking about, because you all know that there's a wide variation?
Well, okay, like what came out of Marc's slides, where we can actually airship and like drop all these things down in the near future, or maybe if you're thinking about now, more of now, I notice most people, they have all these technologies, and then because new ones come out, they tend to get rid of their old ones, right? So might as well, we all just put out all of our old technologies, even though they're old, they're still useful, especially for those variation of people that you are talking about. So we can put them into a donation. Maybe we make a donation company specifically for that. We will give out all of our still working old technologies, and we want to buy new ones, so we give out the old ones and donate them. Then they can pass it out to those unfortunate people.
In relation to Halim's point there, I think that the government could work with schools to identify some of the students that have good computer skills and are also caring, and say once a week or maybe once every 2 weeks, they could have addressed these rural areas. And say now we already have mobile libraries, maybe they can have mobile computer labs, so that at least these children and people in the rural areas at least have some degree of knowledge how to use the computer.
Like I said before, I am the Interact Club of Tamaton's president, and the Interact Club basically promotes charity amongst teenagers. So yes, I am involved in a charity work in PJ. Our club goes to an orphanage in PJ to help the kids there, as well as we have a charity project every year that we are funding the Malaysian AIDS Council for the children.
Okay, I would just like to say, maybe kids like us, we can't really help kids like that, but we can raise awareness. Like for our little thing, we can raise awareness, we can give opinions, so that the others, the ministries, they maybe one day will listen to us, to our opinions, to our awareness, and maybe they can help those children from our opinions, like what we're doing today.
That was your minister.
Yes, but I'm a minister.
If such a program were established and saying we want to make all of Malaysia rise in terms of their technological capabilities, how many of you would be interested in participating in that kind of program? Raise your hands. Okay.
Second question. How many of you have used technology to learn what you've learned so far in school, other than sharing the homework or doing it on the Facebook? It's most people passing the exams. What you have learned so far, especially with the ones who are around 17 years old, what have you applied so far using the technology to develop more things for innovation, inventions, or maybe some entrepreneurial skills at your level?
Sorry, could you rephrase the question?
Whatever you have learned so far using the technology, have you applied technology, using it to develop things? So far you're talking about consuming it, like using it for Facebook, sharing the stuff, passing the homework to each other, or passing the exam. But what about innovation or invention? Are you creating new things? Has any one of your friends created anything, new innovation, something like that?
Well, in terms of creating things, I'm not really that interested. So what I'm trying to say is that there are people who are interested in like these creations, innovations, like from the slides again. You see those like robotics and stuff. People who want to do those kind of things. But in my case, I'm not interested. So I learn and stuff from all the social medias, but not to create. Another thing I like to do is to teach. Basically, like martial arts, I'll teach them to my students, and then I teach them how to do this and that. And sometimes the social media really just helps in terms of like I can show them online, if they make a video, and then I can also, because sometimes they live far away, they don't have the transport, but they have internet, so yeah. That's the question. Currently now, like Facebook and Twitter, the same thing that I use. I'm currently a user actually. I have no innovating skills, and thus I have not been taught how to use this for innovation. It's not been taught in my school. My parents will teach me this. So yeah, basically no. And truthfully speaking, I think it's just really hard for us to do this now, because right now, as you know it, most parents will just tell us to stop doing this. They won't encourage us to do all this. They will encourage us to read books more, just write, study, do work on books. They don't really tell us anything about technology much. So really, I think it's a very good and truthful point that Marc has been saying, that we have to bring our kids, our generation to the future. We have to teach them about this. So the next time when someone comes up here, they will know how to answer your question.
What do you think is a good education? What do you think is a good education?
To me, a good education is a variety in the vocabulary and the syllabus especially. If there is a wider range in the syllabus that are taught to us, I think that would innovate us to a better future.
Okay, what I'm about to say is, might be a hard thing to do, but you know what, like Marc said, it is going to be hard, but it's something that we can do, we can achieve. I really think, like Tanya said, variation. Okay, for example, my own mother, she told me, she aced in every single subject. She's like, the top student, she goes to Cambridge, she does all this. But when she succeeded in life and she has a job, I asked her what did she actually use. Only 2 subjects out of like 12, 10 that she learned and aced it, but only 2 subjects actually helped her in the job that she's actually using. And like, the others was just like a waste of her time. So that's my point. Like, I mean, if we make this into a variety where students are recognized and each individuality, which one they want to do, which one they want to further their career, their passion. They want to know what the kids want to do. So when this is able, there will be more successful people, and then it will be easier to achieve. Our country, the world, it can just advance into the future even more easily.
To me, my perspective of a good education for the primary syllabus is an education system that can make you truly understand what you are taught, to know what you are taught and how to implement it in your daily life. It's not just the good marks you get, but how you understand it.
What I would like to say is very short. A good education system would be an education system that is at first holistic. It touches many parts of what you could do in the future, but then later, and it should be done quite quickly, I suppose, pick out on your potential, pick out on what field you are best at, and from there, use the secondary education to develop those skills, to hone those skills, and in the future producing a better person in a certain field. Instead of teaching someone like, probably let's say I want to be a doctor in the future, why is it that in Form 3 I'm still learning how to fix a motor? Why am I learning how to fix a car? I believe that so many information is redundant and does not help me in my actual aim in life.
Yes, I would like to agree with all of that. And you need to, the child or the student needs to understand what they're learning and needs to enjoy what they're learning, needs to know, and instead of hating that subject, the teacher needs to guide them so that they can slowly enjoy, and after that, all of the things will go in their mind, and they'll understand much more when they enjoy that.
Did that happen to you, that a teacher guided you to enjoy something you didn't before?
Yeah.
Okay.
Science.
Thank you. Okay.
I think that we should take advantage of the students' interest in all these technologies and gadgets and use that to make them more interested in learning things in school, because wouldn't it be fun to actually understand what you're learning than just
learning it?
Yeah. So if you actually understood what you learned, it would be be so much fun. And sometimes people get bored by reading the textbooks and surfing the internet and everything. I think we should use ICT and we should take advantage. Because students love to use all these devices, we should let them use these devices to improve their studies. And maybe the outcomes, the results, would actually become higher on average.
Thank you, Marissa. We're running out of time, and I'm going to ask the last question, which I always do. As you heard the person say, this would have been the worst thing in the world for him at one point. None of you knew what you were getting into when you came up here. My question is, for each of you, what did you think of this experience of getting to have a conversation with your educators?
I think it's very good. I think not only are the people there aware, but I too now am aware of the technological capabilities that is at our hand, but probably we're not actually using it.
I really think it's very, very good that I've been given this opportunity to be up here, so I can share my ideas, and this opportunity is very great because it's not just that I can share my opinion. I also learned from my fellow panel members here. They taught me a few things too, and it's just great because sometimes at school when you tell the teacher these kind of things, they'll just be like, they don't care. They just look the other way. They'll be like, I'm not saying I have some teachers who are very nice to me. They talk to you about these things and they actually care, but some teachers, they just look at you as if like you're too imaginative, like this cannot be achieved. They would think like a past educator, they'll think their way is too right. They don't want to change. They don't want to give it to change. But I'm telling you, if you give it to change, it'll give us great things.
To me, it was a very good experience and a very good exposure, not only for us, but for the Ministry of Education to know what the students want, and in return, we know what the Ministry of Education expects from us. So I think it was a very good exposure in both parties.
I would just like to say that this has been a wonderful experience to talk, because now I have that feeling of relief that now everybody has heard my voice and my opinion, and that you guys understand me now. So that is I think there's definitely good exposure, and now the educators know what we want. Well, not basically, but I think this benefits both parties. Like Tanya said, we also made friends, the questions were challenging, so made us open our minds to find out the answers. So I think this was a very good experience.
Well, thank you. I offer this as something not just that we did here, but that you can always do in your own school, that you can have those kind of conversations, and I applaud the courage of the young people coming up here and doing this, and thank you very much for sharing.
I really think it's